In the year 3057, humanity had settled across numerous worlds, bringing peace and prosperity to the galaxy. The threat of war seemed a distant memory, but when a fleet of hostile Kraxian ships attacked and destroyed the colony on Lyra Prime, everything changed. The Kraxians, an insectoid species known for their cruelty, demanded humanity's complete withdrawal from the Outer Rim territories. Captain Elena Vasquez of the starship Aurora was in orbit above Lyra Prime when the attack began. She watched helplessly as the Kraxian weapons turned the once thriving colony into a wasteland. Among the dead was her younger brother Michael, who had been working as a scientist on the colony. Flashbacks of Elena's childhood with Michael flooded her mind. She remembered their dreams of exploring the stars, their shared love for science, and the promise she made to protect him. Her heart filled with grief and rage, Elena vowed to make the Kraxians pay for their atrocities. The Galactic Federation, however, refused to take action, prioritizing diplomatic relations over the lives lost. Undeterred, Elena gathered a coalition of human ships and set out to bring justice to the Kraxians. The Aurora and its fleet jumped through hyperspace, heading straight for the Kraxian homeworld, Lyra Prime. As they emerged from hyperspace, the Kraxian defenses were immediately alerted. Elena knew this mission was a one-way trip, but she and her crew were ready to sacrifice everything to ensure the Kraxians would never harm another human. "Prepare for battle," Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. The crew responded with grim determination, each one knowing the stakes. The Kraxian fleet moved to intercept the human ships, and the battle began. Energy weapons lit up the void as ships from both sides exchanged fire. The Aurora's shields held strong, but the Kraxians were relentless. Elena's tactical officer, Lieutenant Harper, monitored the battlefield, directing fire and coordinating with the other ships. "Captain, we've located their command ship," Harper reported. "It's heavily guarded." "All ships, focus fire on the command vessel," Elena ordered. "We take out their leadership, and the rest will fall." As the human ships concentrated their fire, the Kraxian command ship's shields began to falter. But the Kraxians fought back with desperation, launching waves of fighters and deploying advanced weaponry. The Aurora took heavy hits, and the ship shook violently. "Shields are down to 30%, Harper called out, his voice strained. Elena knew they had to act fast. "Harper, prepare a boarding party. We're going in." The Aurora's boarding team, led by Elena, suited up and boarded a shuttle. As they approached the Kraxian command ship, they encountered fierce resistance. The shuttle docked, and the team stormed aboard, fighting through the corridors filled with Kraxian soldiers. The team pushed forward, determined to reach the command center. Elena's pulse pounded in her ears as she led the charge, her brother's face flashing in her mind. The Kraxians were ruthless, but the humans fought with a ferocity born of righteous fury. Finally, they reached the command center. The Kraxian leader, General Krix, stood surrounded by his guards. His compound eyes gleamed with malice as he faced Elena. "Humans, you are fools to challenge us," Krix hissed. "Your species is weak and emotional. You will fall." Elena raised her weapon, her voice cold and resolute. "We're here for justice, Krix. For every life you've taken, for every world you've destroyed." A fierce battle erupted in the command center. Elena and her team fought with everything they had. Harper fell, wounded by a Kraxian blade, but the team pressed on. Elena faced Krix, the two locked in a deadly struggle. "You will not win," Krix snarled, his mandibles clicking. Elena gritted her teeth, using all her strength to overpower him. "This is for Michael," she whispered, plunging her blade into Krix's chest. As the Kraxian leader fell, the remaining Kraxian soldiers faltered. The human fleet, inspired by Elena's courage, renewed their assault with vigor. The Kraxian command ship was overwhelmed, and the remaining Kraxian forces began to retreat. With the Kraxian leadership destroyed, the human fleet mopped up the remaining resistance. Elena returned to the Aurora, her heart heavy with loss, but filled with the satisfaction of having avenged her brother and countless others. The news of the victory spread quickly through the galaxy. The Kraxians, now leaderless and demoralized, retreated from human territories. The Galactic Federation, forced to acknowledge the bravery and sacrifice of Elena and her fleet, began to take a firmer stance against the Kraxians. Elena stood on the bridge of the Aurora, looking out at the stars. She knew the fight wasn't over, but humanity had shown its strength. They had sent a message humanity would not be bullied or broken. They would stand up for their own, no matter the cost. "Rest in peace, Michael," she whispered. "We did it." But as Elena and her crew prepared for their next mission, they received reports of increased Kraxian activity on the border worlds. The enemy was regrouping, and it was only a matter of time before they struck back. The Galactic Federation convened an emergency council. Representatives from every human colony gathered to discuss the next steps. Elena was invited to speak, her reputation as a leader who took decisive action preceding her. "Captain Vasquez, your actions have shown remarkable courage," began President Andros, the head of the Federation. "But we must be careful not to provoke further conflict without preparation." Elena stepped forward, her voice steady and commanding. "Mr. President, the Kraxians attacked us without provocation. They will not stop until they have conquered us, or we stop them. We need to be ready to defend our homes and our people." The council debated for hours. Some members argued for a defensive stance, while others supported Elena's call for a preemptive strike to cripple the Kraxian war machine. In the end, a compromise was reached: a coordinated defense along the border worlds with strike teams prepared to act if the Kraxians made another aggressive move. Elena returned to the Aurora, the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. She knew the Kraxians would not give up easily. Her crew was ready, their resolve strengthened by the victory at Lyra Prime, but the road ahead was uncertain. Weeks passed, and the tension in the galaxy grew. The Kraxians were massing their forces, preparing for a full-scale invasion. Elena and her team trained tirelessly, preparing for the inevitable clash. One day, as the Aurora patrolled the border, they received a distress signal from the colony on Rhee. Kraxian ships had appeared in orbit, and the colony was under attack. Elena's heart raced as she ordered the Aurora to jump to Rhee's defense. The Aurora emerged from hyperspace to a scene of chaos. Kraxian ships bombarded the colony, their weapons tearing through the colony's defenses. Elena's tactical officer, Lieutenant Adams, quickly assessed the situation. "Captain, the Kraxians are targeting the colony's power generators. If they succeed, the entire colony will be defenseless," Adams reported. "All ships, engage the enemy. Protect the colony at all costs," Elena commanded. The Aurora and its fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. The battle was fierce, with both sides sustaining heavy losses. Elena's strategic mind worked quickly, directing her ships to exploit weaknesses in the Kraxian formation. The Aurora's powerful cannons tore through Kraxian hulls, but the enemy fought back with relentless determination. As the battle raged, Elena received a transmission from the colony's governor, a man named Reynard. His voice was filled with desperation. "Captain Vasquez, we're evacuating the civilians to the underground shelters, but we can't hold out much longer." "Governor Reynard, we're doing everything we can." "Hold your position," Elena replied, her voice firm. Elena knew they had to turn the tide quickly. "Adams, focus our fire on their flagship. If we take it out, we can break their morale." The Aurora's cannons targeted the Kraxian flagship, its shields glowing under the intense bombardment. Slowly, the shields began to fail, and the hull started to crack. With a final decisive strike, the flagship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Seeing their flagship destroyed, the remaining Kraxian ships began to retreat. The human fleet pursued, ensuring they would not return. The colony on Rhea was saved, but at a high cost. The Aurora had taken heavy damage, and many brave soldiers had fallen. Elena stood on the bridge, surveying the aftermath. The colony was safe for now, but the Kraxian threat remained. She knew this was just the beginning of a long and brutal conflict. Returning to the Galactic Federation, Elena was hailed as a hero, but she felt the weight of each life lost. The Federation began to mobilize for a full-scale war, uniting the human colonies in a common cause. Elena was appointed as the commander of the fleet, a responsibility she accepted with a heavy heart. As preparations for the final assault on the Kraxian homeworld began, Elena visited her brother's grave. The memory of Michael's smile gave her strength. She vowed to end the Kraxian threat once and for all, to ensure no more families would suffer as hers had. The final battle was approaching. The human fleet, now larger and more powerful than ever, gathered for the assault. Elena addressed her crew, her voice filled with resolve. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity. For every life lost, for every colony destroyed, we will bring justice. We will show the Kraxians that humanity stands united and will not be broken." The fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading towards Lyra Prime for the last time. The battle that followed was the fiercest the galaxy had ever seen. Ships clashed in the void, each side fighting with everything they had. Elena led her fleet with unmatched skill, coordinating strikes and defending key positions. The Kraxians, driven by their own survival instincts, fought back with desperation. The battle seemed endless, but slowly, the tide began to turn in humanity's favor. The Kraxian defenses crumbled, and the human fleet pushed forward. Elena's flagship, the Aurora, spearheaded the assault on the Kraxian capital. The enemy's stronghold fell, and the Kraxian leadership was captured. With their defeat, the Kraxians were forced to surrender. The war was over. Humanity had prevailed, but the cost was high. Countless lives had been lost, and the scars of battle would remain for generations. Elena stood on the bridge of the Aurora, looking out at the stars. The victory was bittersweet, but it ensured the safety of humanity. She knew that the galaxy would remember the sacrifices made and the strength shown. "Rest in peace, Michael," she whispered. "We did it." As peace returned to the galaxy, Elena was celebrated as a hero, but she remained humble. She continued to serve, helping to rebuild and protect the human colonies. The Galactic Federation, inspired by the bravery and sacrifice of Elena and her crew, took a firmer stance against any future threats. In a quiet moment, Elena visited her brother's grave one last time. "We won, Michael. We brought justice. But the fight for peace never ends." With renewed resolve, Elena returned to her duties, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. The galaxy had changed, but humanity had shown its resilience and strength. They would stand united, no matter the cost.